himself when he was behind a controller. So one thing that always reminds me of him is he was a massive wrestling fan. Like, this was a guy who didn't really listen to music, but would love every CD that came out that was wrestlers' theme tunes because they were great tracks. And it started getting him into rock music and branching out different ways. So it was a way for him to sort of show who he was through wrestling. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'll be honest, when I first started watching wrestling, I was a small child and it was like Hulk Hogan, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and Doink the Clown, and The Undertaker, who perpetually seems to be there in wrestling. It's mental. But yes, excuse me whilst I sip my coffee. Yeah, so wrestling was one of those things that, you'd catch on TV every now and again. Like, I wasn't a guy who would pay for pay-per-views or like buy all the sports channels just to watch it. But the more I hung out with Gary, the more we got into it. And the more dumb little things in wrestling games in particular, it gave him an out. And it gave both of us an out. It was just, honestly, Create a Wrestler was the best, worst thing ever. I loved that thing. Because you would sort of get a handle on the game's perspective, how the game plays, everything like that. And then you go into Create a Wrestler and you would just, oh God, you would create the worst abominations known to man. And it was brilliant. So much so, in fact, it's one thing that caused me to want to play some of the games through again, was, of all things, watching Polygon.com and the Monster Factory that Justin McElroy and his brother do. It is hilarious when you create something really terrible. And so it got me thinking and playing some games again, and I'm trying out emulation on this rig. I know sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. I was going to go through some of the old PS1, PS2 games, but the PS2 emulator is atrocious at times on me, and then it works perfectly fine a minute later. Ah, the joys of emulation. So yeah, with the latest update to the Dolphin emulator, it is now at 5.0. It is running stuff very, very smoothly. So, what I'm going to be doing is playing through one of the WWE games on there. So, Day of Reckoning was quite a story-driven wrestling game, which was a bit weird. But they had like this set story out. And it's one thing that the SmackDown games did try a bit in their story modes, or their career mode, I should say, but it never seemed to get anywhere. I remember one of them, I can't remember if it was Here Comes the Pain, but its career mode was bizarre because it was like first person walking around and you'd go up and talk to somebody and then they'd insult you. It was amazingly weird. But what I'm going to be doing is playing through Day of Reckoning. So the first game just seemed to be about trying to get with Stacy Keibler. I don't know, there was something else in there. This one begins with you have, your title was stripped away for you and it's your Day of Reckoning. You know, angry, angsty, late 2000s, I think it's 2005. So there's a lot of wrestlers you'll see in the game who are still in the game. You know, you have like Triple H, Randy Orton, John Cena. Pretty much everyone hasn't changed in the past 11 years in wrestling, as per usual. But one thing with this story mode, I've done one level and it wasn't great. It was just a bit amusing. Oh, and let's load that up. And oh dear, my stream is going mental on my capture side. There we go, get that all synced up, lovely. So yeah, One of the things this game does is it has a story mode where you're trying to rise to prominence. The only thing you've missed out of this first level was Stacy Keebler talking to me, and then he kissed. So yeah, I've actually created a wrestler that sort of looks like me, but doesn't because it's terrible. But I thought I'd just have a play around and see if anyone was liking to watch it. So I'm going to transition over now.
But they stole it from me. And now I'm gonna get it back.
Okay, so letting this load into the opening. Okay, so letting this load into the opening. Okay, so just wanting to check this out. If we go into it. Okay. So just wanting to check this out. Okay. So we're going to go through the story modes, and I'm going to continue. Like I said, I did create myself as a wrestler. It looks terrible. It's brilliant. It's one of those good old gaming conventions. You're either going to create yourself an anime character or a horrible monstrosity, like terrible monstrosity. So this is me. Obviously, created the character as Bodger. It's under as Martin Bodger. Don't think this game actually has the means for you to be messing around and, having your entrance attire, ring attire, stuff like that. Don't think this game actually has. Well, I couldn't find it anyway in the settings. So, like I say, I have done one mission, so you can see I've got a bit of experience points. We go into profile, this will let me change stuff around. And I'm going to add that to my grappling to try and push my level up. So you'll see these arsenal levels on the side. They will dictate what moves you can give your character. So the more I push these up, the better moves I will get. And I'm gonna go continue. So one thing that did always trick me out, there we go, is when it actually is going to load up. And with the joys of GameCube Disc, it didn't actually have any voice acting or anything. But then again, it's 2005, so here we got Coach interviewing Chris Jericho, who was basically when the game starts, you see Chris Jericho doing a submission move on Triple H, and even though he's being pinned, Triple H taps out, therefore negating who wins the title. Okay, Junior. So basically, we got Jericho talking smack and calling Coach crotch. So yeah, the big thing is obviously with the title belt up for contention, anyone can go for it, which will be before WrestleMania, which is 2 weeks away. Oh, talking smack about me. I'm gonna smack your face in. See, one thing that surprised me when I loaded this up is the actual texture and modeling don't look that bad, which I'm quite surprised with because wrestling games have never been great. But I think it's just that sort of uncanny valley, you know. It's at the point where it's like it's pixelated enough that you realize who it is, but it's not gonna destroy your brain if it looks too sweaty and shiny like they do nowadays. Sorry, I'm skipping the intros because they are lagging out on me. It's the only thing that seems to lag in this game. So, levels seem to be alright on the stream, but my god, this plays loud for the ear. The weirdest thing is trying to remember control schemes. Oh, no, 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 no. The weirdest thing with this game, I'm getting 30 frames, but 60 total, so 100% still slows down. But I think that's just the game itself actually slowing. This again, joys of emulation. Come on. Oh, let's try and get a pin in. Oh, some stamina's low. Oh, lifting on the back of the head. Oh, getting busy. Right. Oh, don't chat for him, he's a knob.